Hi guys, Matt Thurtell here from N-Track. In this video we wanted to show you how to make a cinematic boom from almost any sound. Some of the sounds that we're going to start with will sound worlds away from a cinematic boom, but the result should surprise you. And the best news, cinematic booms are incredibly simple to create. Let's get into it. Let's hear an example. We'll transform this snare sound into this boom. What's more is that we can take sounds you wouldn't really imagine could become booms, like this vocal sample,
Hey,
and turn them into a cinematic boom like this. You can use these sounds for any number of things. Video trailers, for example, but also to emphasize the start of certain song sections or endings, or of course, big tension builds. In this video, we'll be using N-Track Studio for Mac, but you can follow the same process on Windows, Android and iOS too. So, the process is super simple. The idea is to start with a relatively short sound sample, emphasize its frequencies, then pitch the sound down and add a ton of reverb. To illustrate this, let's try a more off-the-wall example. First, open the loop browser by clicking on the Use Loops icon from the launch screen. We can also access this via the loop browser icon here. Inside the loop browser, we'll search for a female vocal sample, which wouldn't usually be associated with a low boom sound. Let's listen through to a few of these sounds.
hey, 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 hey,
We'll select Hey Distorted from the Vocal Samples toolkit, which has a great attack and distorted sound.
hey,
If you can't find this sound, you can locate it by installing Vocal Samples Toolkit from the add-on manager in the loop browser or from the view menu. We'll first open the N-Track EQ and cut out some of the less fundamental frequencies in the sound by filtering out the top, because we want this sonically focused as a low boom, lower frequencies under 40 Hz, which aren't audible on most sound systems, and some mids like so. Here's the sample after the EQ.
hey,
And before EQ.
hey,
Let's re-enable the EQ. Next, we'll pitch this sample down using N-Track Pitch Shift. This plugin is pretty powerful because you can pitch down to almost 100 semitones, which completely warps sounds and is great for making booms. We're going to pitch this sound down 70 semitones, so we'll double click in the plugin and type -70. Let's hear the difference with and without the pitch shift.
hey, hey,
The difference is fairly obvious. Now we have a low sound, let's add our reverb. We'll select Add Send from the mixer and add Convolverb Reverb to the aux1 channel that we've just added. We're using an aux send for the reverb because this way we can control how much reverb to feed our original sound. For example, we could allow a large amount or a small amount of reverb by turning the knob here. With the aux set to +15, you can hear a large amount of reverb. And no reverb with the aux set to -infinity. Now we need to choose our reverb settings. We'll audition a few reverb presets and see what sounds best. Plate has a length of 2.5 seconds and doesn't sound boomy enough. Let's try Small Church. Much better sound, but I think this could still be improved. Vocal Duo could work as a shorter impact sound. With a reverb length of 10 seconds, York Minster works really well. Let's hear the sound with and without the reverb. Without the reverb, the sample sounds more like a dull thud. And the reverb transforms the sound into a cinematic boom. Now we can definitely hear the boom in this sound. What if you wanted to create a more aggressive boom though? Let's try and push this sound even further by adding some distortion to the vocal sample. We'll add the N-Track bass amp and select the noisy bass preset, which will add a growl to the sound. Let's hear that before and after we've added the bass amp. We can actually hear some clipping in this boom, so we'll move the aux channel down 4 decibels in volume to avoid the clipping sound. Okay, here's the boom with the bass amp. And without. Next, we want to distort this sound even further, so we'll add N-Track's distortion plugin N-Tube and select the Fuzzbox preset option. Let's hear how that changes the sound. The extra distortion creates an aggressive sci-fi trailer quality compared to the more discreet boom layer without the distortion. Let's try another boom sound example. Inside the loop browser, we'll search for a snare sound. Let's listen through to a few. Snare 3 from Rap Beats Toolkit has a nice short and snappy sound, which might work well. If you can't find this sound, you can locate it by installing Rap Beats Toolkit from the add-ons section in the loop browser. So, let's select the snare sample and drag it into our empty N-Track session. Firstly, we'll EQ out the lower frequencies under 40 Hz, which aren't audible on most sound systems. We'll cut out the high frequencies because we want this sonically focused as a low boom, and this time we'll boost the 250 Hz range. Let's hear the snare sample with and without the EQ. Here's with, and here's without. Let's re-enable the EQ and move on to the pitch shift. We'll open the pitch shift plugin and take the snare sound down around 40 semitones. So let's scroll the fader down and keep listening to how the snare sounds. That's still not low enough for a boom. This sounds more like a mid-pitch timpani, so we can pitch shift even further down. Let's try minus 42 semitones. Minus 42 semitones sounds good to me. In this example, let's also add a compressor. We'll select the N-Track compressor and select the soft knee compression preset. Here's with, and here's without. The York Minster preset worked fantastic in the last example in Convolverb, so let's add Convolverb to an aux send again and hear the result. So, we'll select Convolverb and the York Minster preset. We can also increase the value of the wet knob in Convolverb to give a different quality to the preset. I'm happy with the extra boominess that adds. And there you have more of a classic sonic boom sound. We've released an effects sound bank packed with booms as well as risers, pads and pulses, which is included when you buy Suite Edition for Windows or Mac or subscribe to N-Track Studio Suite Edition on mobile. The Suite Edition includes every sound pack available in N-Track, which are royalty free, as well as the most feature-packed version of the app, including 64-bit mixing and processing, export of 32 and 64-bit uncompressed WAVs, support for control surfaces and surround mixing. More detail at ntrack.com and in the video description. Thanks for watching, guys. Do let us know how you get on and what sounds you use to make booms in your productions. You can really go to town on this. Try and use your own voice or sounds recorded in or out of your studio. Also, we'd love to keep this channel growing, so do subscribe, ding that notification bell so you know when we release a new video, like and leave us a comment. That being said, see you on the next video and enjoy making music with N-Track.